Welcome back to the podcast. I have with me one of my friends and clients, Tiffany. So she is going to introduce herself. We are going to talk to her today about her business, how she has gotten here, and she actually has an interesting perspective on things because she has both an online business as well as in person. So we're going to talk to her about that and just see her whole journey of like getting to where she is now and the whole story behind this. So introduce yourself, tell us who you are.
Thanks, Tara, for having me. As you have already mentioned, I'm Tiffany. I am a certified personal trainer and a nutrition coach.
Awesome. All right. So tell us about like what got you started in fitness and nutrition? Like, how did this all happen? What's the backstory?
Yeah, the backstory kind of started in 2011. I tragically lost my mom. And in the pursuit of grieving and just coping with her sudden loss, I dove into running. And I dove like completely like all in for about 7 years. For 7 years, I ran over 50 half marathons and three fulls. So that running outlet gave me just the place to grieve. And so I had
Mhm.
always just been active. I was never like an overweight kid. I was always really athletic. Physical fitness and fitness just came naturally to me. I had been just sharing about it online, and I had gotten approached by the somebody in a multi-level marketing company, and she said, "Why don't you start sharing about it?" And I did, and I dabbled in that world for a really long time. But where things got really dark was the running became an obsession that was paired with disordered eating
Mhm.
that kind of started disrupting my mindset, my approach with food. And around that time as well, I had just gotten married,
Yeah.
and I took that obsession with food and fitness into my marriage. And for a really long time, a brand new marriage, my husband and I, all we did was fight about workouts and food. And ultimately, I ended up tearing the tendon in my ankle, which put a pretty aggressive halt to my running. And then
Mhm.
I just ultimately hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom physically, emotionally. I just decided I didn't want to live life like that anymore. I didn't want my marriage to be like that. Um, and I decided this was also like around the COVID era. So 2020, I had gotten laid off. And my
Yeah.
husband said, "Well, why don't you take all of this and get certified?" And so I did. I took a leap of faith. And then I didn't want to go back to working a 9 to 5 job.
Mhm.
Long story short, I dove into head first of coaching and personal training. And yeah, I've been doing this for about 3 years.
Amazing. Okay, I've never asked, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. What was your 9 to 5 job before you did this? Just out of
I worked for a
curiosity.
pretty big IT company
Yeah.
in my area. I was a staffing manager. So you have a set of skills, and I would allocate you to certain jobs, for lack of a better term. And so
Interesting.
COVID happened. They gave me 6 months of a payout, and I
Yeah.
said, "You don't have to tell me twice."
Yeah. Bye.
But Tara, it wasn't just like this clear cut, like, oh, I didn't want to go back, get certified, launch my business. There was
Yeah.
like a lot of ups and downs. My first three training jobs sucked. They were
Mhm.
terrible. I didn't just like dream of owning my own business. It didn't just like it wasn't something I dreamed of.
Yeah. So how did that transition happen? Like from being a trainer in the gym to actually owning your own business because you did it, you went from the trainer job to actually having an in-person business first and then moving that online. Not moving it online, you still do in person
Mhm.
as well, but
Well, it's actually a unique thing as I got certified and I worked for F45, which was fine. But I wanted to learn like the how and the why behind creating workouts. I didn't want to just I wanted more out of being a trainer versus just standing at the front of a workout class and telling people to move to your next station. But we had moved to a new city around this time, and I had gotten my first personal training job with a guy here. Um, and he put me in really unsafe situations. He would send me to at home clients in really unsafe neighborhoods. And I think the straw with that was when I got to a house, felt really unsafe. I had texted my husband the location of the address and the client's name. And I said, if something pops off, here's where I'm at. And I
Hmm.
said, I don't think this is for me. So
Yeah.
then I had gone to a country club, and I'm still just trying to find my footing in the personal training world, because there's a big difference between personal training and being like a group fitness instructor for a bigger brand that already creates their own workouts.
Hmm.
So this gym, and rightfully so, I was still very, very, very new as a trainer. I worked for them at the country club and they fired me. They said that I was too new. They didn't have time to train me, and good luck. And I said,
Yeah.
well, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
then like the third one was a corporate gym, a big, like big box gym. So think like Lifetime Fitness or O2 Fitness, or just like big, big, big gyms.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I knew I didn't want to give up fitness, and I knew I didn't want to go back. But I was like, why is this not working for me? So I started working for the big gym. And basically, when I wasn't training for free, I was cleaning cardio equipment. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And I can remember sitting in this exact office and just breaking down. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Is this meant for me? Do I need to go back to corporate America? I just moved to this big community, and I had pitched to the developer there was a need for like a fitness community aspect in my neighborhood.
Hmm.
And around that same time, I pitched that, they approved it, but then I also just kind of like whimsically posted in the neighborhood, hey, I'm a certified personal trainer. I've kind of created like this gym space in my house. Like, I'm looking for clients. And I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't realize that those two moments would really spearhead my career. So I started doing that. I started getting clients like in my garage. I remember the first time I launched my community group, I had one person. And then along the way, I also just wanted to expand my audience and my outreach to the online world. So again, that was a wordy way of how my journey all started. It wasn't this, I got certified and then my business started. It was a
Hmm.
lot of, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Do I really want this?
Yeah. But I think that that's how it is. It is so often not this thing where you just decide to do this and all of a sudden it just happens.
Yeah.
Like, even though so much of what we see online is like apparently that people posting that that's like how it happens, that's never how it happens. There's always a story behind all of this. And that's what I like love hearing this because there's always so much more to it. It's
Yeah, it
never,
wasn't,
go ahead.
I mean, you're my coach online. The online world's completely not the same as in person. But the online world wasn't just like I threw up a post and said, hey, I'm a trainer.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, that worked for a little bit until it didn't, but like online is an evolution as well. You have to
Hmm.
really know who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. And that just takes time to figure out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think it's interesting. So having your in-person business versus online, how has that been? Because in person, I know, but you're full in person. You have a wait list, all of the
Yeah.
things, and online, it's not it's not the same. Like it's a totally different thing. Online is just a whole nother.
Um, Online is harder for me because I have to emotionally be vulnerable.
Hmm.
I For me, it's not about like building a Louis Vuitton, having a Louis Vuitton bag or like yachts. It's something deeper. And if
Hmm.
I want an impact-based business where there's a heart to it, I have to be willing to share the ugly parts of my journey, which sometimes can be vulnerable because
Yeah.
that comes with backlash, that comes with judgment, that comes with family members finding your account and not approving. It comes with a lot more risk involved
Hmm.
versus in person. I can train somebody and I can keep those dark secrets tucked away for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just like, oh, here's the group fitness class, or let's do one-on-one personal training. And people are like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But online, you really have to get out there and be like, this is why you should work with me over all of the other people. This is like what I have to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole
It's
different thing.
harder, but it's more rewarding. But I'm not saying that one-on-one's not rewarding. It's just it's different. You're
Hmm.
comparing a red potato versus a white potato. They're just totally different. But both of those equally make up my business, and both of those serve different parts of why I enjoy what I do.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah,
couldn't
so
imagine going back to a 9 to 5 right now. Forget about it.
no, no. Yeah, yeah. It's funny to think about that because yeah, no, that, no, just no.
But I wouldn't want to. I don't wanna go back to counting down the hours. I don't wanna go back to asking my boss for time off. I don't want to go back to none of that's appealing to me, but also at the same time, being an entrepreneurial comes with a lot of instability, and as long as you're okay with
Hmm.
riding that wave and the long game
Yeah.
and remembering why you're doing what you're doing,
Hmm.
because there are clients that I look forward to every single week, and that hour just goes by, like, so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's a huge part of it is really you have to know why you are actually doing this. It has to be about so much more than, I want to be an entrepreneur because I saw online that you can make all this money fast and, I can have all this free time to do whatever I want. Because two things there. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be overnight. You are going to have to be in this for the long game because there are very few people that actually decide today that they're going to make a business tomorrow and can retire next year. Like that just doesn't happen. So you have to think long game.
To piggyback off of that, though, you have to be for the long game, but I
Yeah.
think something that I've learned working with you and just being a coach and evolving and coming into my 2nd year of business, um, not being afraid to pivot, not being able to say, like or being afraid to say, like, "Okay, is this energetically serving me? Do I want to keep offering this in my product suite? Do I want to keep do is you know what I mean? Like, I
Hmm.
think there's a lot of, like, fear that goes with change, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. It's like, is it working? Is it worth my time? Is it something that I'm in love with? And
Yeah.
what I was in love with 2 years ago from a business standpoint, it's not something that I'm in love with now, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's huge. Like you can always change it. And it really, when you're doing this and you're building your business, it has to be something that you are doing your way. It cannot be, all of these things that you see, oh, you should do this and you should do that and whatever. It really has to come down to what is going to be best for you, what feels best for you, and what's going to work for your business and your life. Like, period.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
It literally makes no difference what anyone else is doing. It doesn't, it just, I don't know. So many people focus on that, but like that's when you get caught up in all of the bullshit that just is never going to work. And yeah.
Well, oftentimes would try to put myself in other people's boxes because it worked for them. And I would duplicate that, and I would often feel a fraud or I didn't feel an alignment.
Hmm.
I feel like that word's kind of thrown around a lot right now, but I
Yeah.
just wasn't excited anymore. I felt lost in my business. And when I started showing up to the real reason of why I wanted to do what I was doing, that spark came back.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important to be able to find that and to know that and not lose that because you have to know like why you started this. And it has to be about more than money. It
Yeah.
has to be about like what impact do you truly want to make? Because it's if all that this is based on money, like you said, it can be very unstable at times. And if that's the only thing that's driving you, it may not be a big enough force to keep you in it.
Yeah. If I never made another dollar off of another client, I would still do this for free. Money is how I pay my bills. I mean, I think we
Mhm.
all have jobs. That's the reality of owning a business, but I would still do this if I made not another dollar off of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's huge. That says a lot because, and I know from knowing you, like your why behind this goes so much deeper than money. It's not
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Like, well, you can tell it, go into why you created Tone and Transform.
Um, this is the hard part about being online is the vulnerability behind why I created Tone and Transform. I throughout the running, throughout the restrictive dieting, throughout the under eating, I woke up and I, for a lack of a better term, was skinny fat. I didn't have a lot of muscle. I wasn't overweight. But I really hated how my body looked. I thought in my mind that this freedom and the happiness that I was searching for would be from losing a few more pounds. And that didn't work. So I would restrict more and I would restrict more. And what I would find is that instead of it working, instead of doing all of the things that fitness culture tells you to do, it wasn't working for me. But more than it was damaging my body image, it was really damaging my relationship with food. It was
Hmm.
damaging just like normal basic functions that I don't think if you've never struggled with food that you don't even realize. But like looking at my husband and just feeling disgusted that he was eating chicken wings and I'm like like how do you not have a feeling or just like us fighting all the time. And it wasn't like I was starting to control my food, I had controlled his as well. And it was just this like I didn't want to live my marriage like that. I know he didn't. And the toned body that I always had dreamed of, if my issue was food, it was never going to happen.
Hmm.
No matter the workout strategy, no matter the best trainer, no matter the most 3,000 calories and you never eat, you never gain weight. If at the end of the day you're going to be stressing and have so much food noise, it's never you're always gonna be stuck. And so I saw in the fitness world that there was a lot of weight loss programs.
Yeah.
I saw that there was a lot of programs for dietitians, but what I didn't see was that there was this gap of females who didn't have experience lifting weights that had to solve their relationship with food for this total transformation. And it really
Hmm.
goes back to like my previous experience because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to say no to eating out. I know what it's like to order a salad to go home and eat something cleaner because you can control the calories. I know what it's like to I mean I was that's I was there. I was that girl and I know that those people are there and that's why I've created Tone and Transform.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just like, I love that because there are so many people who do need that. And because there's so much out there that gets people hooked into these like easy ways of losing weight when you might not even have to lose weight. Like the body that you want, the answer might not be to lose more weight. That's not always the answer.
Yeah.
And so many of these things and diets and whatever you want to call them, even now, do end up with people having disordered eating problems. I don't know what else, how else to word that, but
Yeah.
that's what it leads to. Like it is
Oh,
so
yeah.
fucked up, all of all of these things. And it's yeah, it's just it gets worse and worse. I think as time goes on and there's more MLMs that come out with like these powders and pills and potions and whatever the hell
Yeah.
else comes out, but it's just yeah. So I think it's
What I
super important.
also created Tone and Transform is I think I think certain MLMs try to put their best foot forward with teaching women about macros. And I think it starts there. I think awareness is number one, and that's
Mhm.
fine. That's not the issue. It's that when you put lipstick on a pig and still call it a pig, you can teach people macros all day long, and that's fine. That's not the problem. It's the disordered eating, it's the undercalories, it's
Yeah.
the food rules that goes along with it. So cool, you've taught me how to do macros, but I'm still freaking the fuck out on the weekends about a salad.
Hmm.
I'm still counting macros, but all I've done is given macros another label, which is a diet, which is not giving me food freedom. So I think if you're gonna go the MLM route and not hire a certified personal trainer, like or certified nutrition coach, like just don't get caught up. Like be aware that 1,200 calories is the bare minimum for a child, let alone adult who wants to like do something amazing with your body, you know?
Yeah.
Because I know I was victim to that. I know I fell pretty hard to cool. I can still eat fruits and vegetables and breads, but then I didn't realize 7 years later why I could only eat half of a banana and
Hmm.
have a reaction to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Or
think,
go ahead.
no, I was going to say, I think so many people fall into that, but they don't really realize that that's what's happening until it's been going on for so long
Yeah.
that they're like, oh shit, that's actually what's happening.
Yeah. Well, and for a while, I thought it was just me. I thought I was
Mhm.
the only one that had food noise, or that I would often question, am I the only one struggling? And of the whole world of 50,000 billion people, am I the only one with so much food noise? And the more that I express and share my story and know that there's a container and a program for you, people are like, no, I'm struggling with that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because not everyone wants to lose weight either.
No. No, and that's not always what's going to get you to where you actually want to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that. I love it. So, where can people find you if this is what they are struggling with, if they want to come work with you, check out all your stuff? Where are you at?
Yes, I'm both on TikTok and Instagram. Miss Tiffany Wallace, Miss underscore Tiffany Wallace or is my username. And then if you want to know more about Tone and Transform, TiffanyWallaceFitness.com.
Perfect. Amazing. So, make sure you go check her out. Check out all her stuff. If you are on YouTube, like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming on to
Thanks for
chat.
having
This
me.
was great. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks, Tara.